You know what, Sam?
What?
We're moving on.
Yes, we are. My gosh, Sam. Boy, was that some game last night. And yes, you guys are getting this episode, like I said, I believe on Instagram this evening, because we were not going to do this episode at what, midnight?
Yeah, pretty much.
When we both have full time jobs. So.
Yep.
But regardless, we got the win. What a great game. We will be recapping that. But Sam, since we are advancing to round two, we do have something that could help people get into seats, right?
Yes. So if you want to go watch the Carolina Hurricanes take on either the Washington Capitals or Montreal Canadiens, you can use our promo code Caniac Report on SeatGeek, and you will get SeatGeek, and you will get $20 off your first purchase. Again, it is your first purchase, only $20 off. Take advantage of it. Don't leave free money on the table, and go watch the Hurricanes play in the second round of the playoffs because it's fun.
Yes, it definitely is. It gets a lot more fun the further the Canes advance.
Yes.
Another thing, too, is we have a link for donations. So if you feel like you want to donate, we do have a link for that in both our YouTube descriptions and wherever you get your podcast. And remember, if you are watching us on YouTube, be sure to hit the like button, subscribe, leave a comment, and hit that notification bell so you never miss another episode. And if you're just listening to us like Apple, Spotify, whatever, please leave a rating and a review. It really does help us out. And yes, we are still continuing to do episodes after every playoff game. And another thing, too, Sam, I know we probably discussed this just a little bit, but since we are advancing, we will be our next episode, most likely, will be a playoff preview of Hurricanes and most likely the Caps, just the way the series has gone. But Sam, should we aim for probably Saturday? Probably.
Oh, we don't know.
Oh yeah, we don't. We really don't know. So, how about this, guys? We will release one once we know the winner between the Caps and the Habs. Once we do, we'll get an episode out as soon as possible. Uh, so we will try our best. Remember, we have lives too. Uh,
Yes, very true.
Life can happen. So we will get it out as soon as possible. We also have work, obviously. We already said that, but we will get that out as soon as possible. And that's pretty much it for podcast stuff. But Sam, I just want to touch on a couple things. And as you can tell, I'm already rubbing my eye probably for the fourth time so far in this 3 minute episode, 3 minutes into this episode, Sam, because we are both tired. But
yes,
couple things. One, more coaching decisions have happened. Mike Sullivan and the Penguins go their separate ways, Sam. And that's a coach that has been with Pittsburgh for a very, very long time.
very long time. I think what tells you is he replaced Dan Bilesma.
Yes,
so that should tell you how long he's been in Pittsburgh. Excellent coach, probably the best American coach in the National Hockey League. Excellent coach. And I'm looking. We'll see where he goes next. Wherever he goes, he'll do great. He was not the problem in Pittsburgh, and it's just the personnel that's left. And we'll see what happens with Mike Sullivan. Where he ends up. I know it's like rumored Boston or New York. I don't know. We'll see where he goes. But again, wherever he goes, he'll do a good job. I'm pretty confident of that. He's a good coach.
He really is a great coach. Heck, maybe Vancouver, I don't know, or Anaheim.
Yeah, Vancouver would be a good place for him. They got a lot of good pieces, and that's a team that's ready to take a step.
Yes, it is. So it's going to be interesting. I agree with you, Sam. I think he's an excellent coach. It's going to be interesting to see what Pittsburgh does with their next head coaching search, because that's going to be interesting. I would think Kyle Dubas, who's their general manager over there, will probably focus on finding a coach that's more in the style of developing young players, because they need to get younger. They do. They have a very old team with Crosby, Malkin, even though those are great players. Uh, Father Time will eventually catch up to them. Eventually. So,
Yep.
but we did mention Vancouver, Sam, because they're another team that made a decision with their coach, and Rick Tocchet, he was their head coach, is parting ways with them as well. So, Sam, this is the year, honestly, for uh, getting head coaches because the market is strong right now.
The coaching carousel is well underway, and we'll just have to wait and see kind of what happens.
Who do you think gets a head coaching decision first? You think it's Mike Sullivan, Brett Tockett? Because I mean, Brett Tockett, I think he's a decent coach. I wouldn't put him on the same level as Mike Sullivan, but I think he's
Well,
decent.
I think you have to look at it this way too. How does Mike Sullivan and Rick Tocchet want to play the field? They might not go first just because they might take their time in deciding what they want to do because they can afford to do that. Even if they wanted to take a year off, I don't think that happens. But even if they wanted to take a year off, I mean, they're they will always be, if they want to coach, a team will hire them.
Yes, definitely. I do think.
But
Yes.
what's interesting about all these coaching changes is did you know that Rob Brindamore is the only current in the last, I think it's been between 5 and 7 years of coaches who have won the Jack Adams Trophy that's still with his team.
That's crazy.
He's the only one.
That's really crazy. It shows how the times can change, Sam.
Yep. Yep.
To quote the famous Bob Dylan there, times are changing.
And when we're talking about coaches, Rob Brindamore is the only coach in his first 7 years to win a round in the Stanley Cup playoffs all 7 years.
Yeah, I know. That's very impressive.
Especially when you're looking at coaches like your favorite, the guy who coached in Detroit all those years ago, and I'm blanking on his name right now for some reason, but he was like the greatest. Scotty
Oh,
Bowman.
Scotty Bowman. Yes. Oh, yeah. Listen, I love Brendan Moore, but Scotty Bowman, I think he's probably the only coach in his realm of coaching ability just because he was amazing. Now, he had a great elite squad in Detroit, but still, I think he's still the best coach in the NHL and Scotty Bowman. So, Sam, let's get off of coaches right now because let's talk about the Hurricanes here. Um, a few things. One thing that we did get news about was Frederick Anderson's health. This was right before the game, and Brendan Moore talked. It was after a practice,
Yep.
and he said that Anderson was day to day. And when I heard that, I was a little bit optimistic, Sam, because if he said like week to week
Yep.
or for an entire series, then I'm like, yeah, Canes might not make it that far, but day to day, and considering we did win the series over the Devils, Sam, that makes me optimistic that I think we will see Anderson at some point in the second round of the playoffs. What do you think?
Yeah, because I think you had said we're not going to be playing until next week. So, we've got time, right? So this isn't he's going to have probably at least, 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe 5, 6 days to rest before there's a time for another game. So he's going to get some time. So depending on what it is, whatever he tweaked or messed, if it's not a big deal, I think he's back for the Caps. Without Freddie, I don't know if we get past Washington, if that's the team that does indeed advance. But we'll see. I also don't think Ovechkin's been much of a factor in this series for the Caps. So it's really a matter of, does Ovechkin show up
Yeah.
if he comes to Carolina? But I don't know. If we don't have Freddie, my hopes are kind of low.
Yeah, I mean, my hopes are kind of already low heading into the second round, Sam, because I remember saying this for quite some time, especially for those who listen to all of our episodes. I've always thought Carolina, for this season specifically, I think they're a second round team. Now, it could change because it's playoffs. You never know. I hope I'm wrong. I really do hope I'm wrong. But I do see this team as a second round playoff team. So I just wanted them to win against New Jersey, but
Yep.
we'll see. Part of it, I will say, is because I grew up in the dark ages, just like you did, Sam. And there's always that shed of doubt in there
Yeah.
with this team. So we'll see how they do, whether it's against Montreal or Washington. I think if it's against Washington Montreal, I mean I doubt it, but if against Montreal, Sam, I actually think Carolina. I mean that could end a series probably maybe 5 or 6 games.
Yeah.
Couldn't you? Of us
Yeah.
winning
Yeah.
that series?
Yep, I think so too. I mean, at the end of the day, I still think Carolina is a better has a better group than Washington. I think Washington's got the better goalie right now. But again, it's dependent. Like, do we have Freddie Anderson? Is he playing like he had been playing against New Jersey? If we get that Freddie Anderson, then yeah, I think we beat Washington in 6 games, maybe even 5. I don't think Washington's that good, and they matched up against probably the worst team in the playoffs in Montreal, and yeah, they should win that series, right? They're the number 1 seed. They should win against number 8, but or well, in this case, whatever the heck the last seed is, second wild card, but um. We'll see what happens. Not Washington plays tonight as of
They do.
recording, and we'll see if they win.
Yes, so we'll I'm sure a lot of Hurricane fans are going to be keeping up with that series now that our series is
Yeah.
done.
And hey, you know what? I want that series to go 7 because
I do too.
I want both teams to get banged up, beat around, tired, exhausted. The longer that series goes, though, the worse for the Caps.
Exactly. And I mean Montreal's been in those games. Every single one of them, they've been in it.
Oh, absolutely.
So,
Montreal has not been bad.
no.
That's why I don't think Washington is why I think Carolina can beat them is Washington's playing a team that's below Carolina in ability, and they're not blowing out the Canadians. They're close games. Montreal could have easily won games 1 or 2, and they should have won game 4. So the Caps got lucky in that one. So it's just really a matter of, does the luck continue? Does Montreal go to Washington and get a game? They're capable of winning. It's just we'll see what happens tonight. It's do or die. So I mean, look, hey, Ottawa's won a couple games in do or die situations. So does
Yes,
that
they
mean?
did.
Washington loses a couple of these games and Montreal wins? I mean, if you want to talk about the 2 teams in the National Hockey League that are in the playoffs right now that are like in the Eastern Conference that are like the king and queen of choking, it's the Caps and the Leafs, and we'll see.
They are. I'm going to laugh so hard if somehow Ottawa comes back and wins that series.
Yeah, you and me both.
But Sam, that's part of the reason why we called up Spencer Martin. He's just insurance policy. He only plays if he has to. I don't expect Brittamore playing him at all with Kochetkov being healthy. And heck, even if Anderson's healthy too. Another thing too, Sam, this made us all very happy. This came out today.
Yep.
Taylor Hall gets extended 3 years at, I believe it was $3.16 million contract. Boy, Sam, what a steal for what he has done with this team. My gosh.
Yeah, it's it's great to see the contract. I think it's a great deal for the organization. The player gets some term, which is probably what he wanted.
Mm-hmm.
Which is what I said. I said lock him up, right? I said I thought minimum of 3 years is what he was owed, and that's what he got. The longer the term, the lower the number, and I think that's how you got to what we got. So good for Taylor Hall. Good player. Glad he's sticking around. He's going to fit in. He fits in pretty much anywhere on the lineup. So I think that's just the benefit of having that kind of a talented player here who clearly wants to be here.
Yes, and what's great about him is he's a veteran in the league. You look at our roster, I mean, outside of Martinook, Stahl, and Taylor Hall, it is pretty much all young guys. Blake is young. Stankoven's young. Aho, I would say, is considered youngish. I would probably call him young, but he's youngish.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you need these veteran guys. So extending a guy like Taylor Hall is going to help help them and help the young guys develop as well. So I think this was a very smart move from the Hurricanes organization. Very happy that he's going to be with this team for 3 years. I know, Sam, you're probably a huge Taylor Hall fan. Are you going to get his jersey?
You know what? Now that we've extended him, I think it's a possibility.
Oh, it's a
Definitely a
possibility.
possibility.
All right.
Definitely a possibility. I like
No,
Taylor Hall. I've been saying, just like I said for Brady Shea, sign the man. So they got it done. They finally got it done, and they gave him a contract, a much earned and deserved one for Taylor Hall. So congrats to him. I'm glad he's going to stay a Hurricane probably for the rest of his career.
number 71.
Yep,
So,
good for him.
yep, really, really great for him. And Sam, that's kind of it for Hurricanes news. Now we're going to recap the great, wonderful, action packed game. But
Yep.
before we do, let's get to one of our sponsors. The NBA 82 game grind is done, and now the real fun begins. The NBA playoffs are here, and it's time for all the high skates drama, clutch moments, and jaw dropping plays. I can't wait. If you're looking to make the playoffs even more exciting, DraftKings Sportsbook has you covered as an official sports betting partner of the NBA. Try placing a bet on your favorite player's performance. Will they drop 30 points, 40, or more? It's your call. Here's something special for first timers. New DraftKings customers bet $5 to get $200 in bonus bets instantly. Make it a playoff run to remember with DraftKings. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code THPN. That's code THPN for new customers to get $200 in bonus bets when you bet just $5. Only on DraftKings, the crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Blue Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, 21 plus age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. New customers only. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/audio. All right, Sam. This game, boy,
So
was it
bad, wasn't it,
something.
Sam? Awful game.
First period, it was. But
Yes.
before the game, though, what was really cool as I am going to talk about this, Sam, as we were entering into Lenovo. You're the one that saw him until I eventually saw him, but Eric Tolsky was out,
Yep.
and we both of us were able to talk to him.
Yeah, yeah, we chatted just briefly, just thanked him for putting together a fun team to watch this season, and we've been enjoying the playoff games. So he was very kind and nice guy, and Don Waddell is a little bit more chatty of a guy, but Eric Tolsky is a very very nice guy. He was out there just kind of walking the grounds and chatting with people, and it's always nice to see execs and people that are up in that organization out, mingling with fans and talking to staff, and that's always a good thing you see, right? Again, I don't always agree with every decision he's made or Don Waddell's made or Ron Francis or Rutherford or whatever, whoever the general manager's been with Carolina. But it's either way. It's nice to see when they come down and they chat with people.
Yeah, and I got to tell him how great Stankoven is of a player. He did great
Yeah,
getting
yeah, and he agreed.
Stankoven.
He said he was a smart player.
Yeah, yeah, I know. Great minds think alike, Sam. They think alike. So, first period. Boy, this was a period that left me disgusted. And because Sam, the Hurricanes played so bad in
Oh,
this first
absolutely,
period.
they were
Now,
horrible.
here's the thing. Kochekov, I mean, the three goals here, obviously on New Jersey. You have Dawson Mercer scoring, and that Mercer goal. Now, Brind'Amour thought he was going to. There was a thought that I think Brind'Amour thought he might challenge it. He ultimately did not. I was kind of happy he didn't challenge it just because I thought it was a little bit far fetched of him
Well,
winning the challenge.
it looked like he was pushed in, but I don't know. It's one of those things where I would have contemplated it, mainly just knowing how good our penalty kill was. It's like, hey,
Yes.
our penalty kill's excellent. This will slow the game down. Our penalty kill's always been a momentum swing for us. I to me it felt like just because of how, I mean, Devils didn't score a power play goal at all in this entire playoffs.
No.
Not one. Technically, maybe, if you want to get untechnical about it, they kind of got one like a second after the power play ended,
Mm-hmm.
but it's still, Carolina didn't allow a single goal in the power play. So Carolina's penalty kill was superb. Perfect. 100%. It's 100% on the penalty kill. Probably the best penalty kill in the playoffs as
Oh
of
yeah.
now. So this is what I would have done. I would have challenged it. Would have done a couple things. Slowed the game down. Carolina's got an excellent penalty kill. Hopefully you utilize that to gain some momentum and move on if you don't win the challenge. But I thought it could have gone either way. I thought if it was me, I think it was a good goal, but
I did too. And another thing too, like that is what started to make me nervous about Kochetkov because he was flopping all over the place, Sam, in his own crease.
yep.
He couldn't stand still.
Yep.
He was letting up juicy rebounds. Like he could not keep the puck just tight within his glove. He
Yep.
just could not. It was just so bad. But he wasn't the only one to blame because the team
Yep.
in front of him was freaking
Yep.
trash. My
Yep.
gosh, one of the worst periods ever.
Unfortunately, yes.
Yeah.
It was
And
just
then,
god awful
yeah.
period. Carolina played like garbage. It was a distinct disappointment.
And you had Timo Meyer scoring. And obviously, with what Meyer did to Anderson when he stepped foot onto the ice, Sam, oh, he was getting boos left and right from the Hurricane fans. And it did not surprise me one bit. But he
Or-
scored. And the Hurricane fans, you can tell, were not happy with that.
No, they were not happy at all. Again, it was just an unpleasant period for so many reasons.
Yeah. And to me, I thought that was a goal that honestly, I thought Kochetkov kind of needed to have there, but it was a huge defensive breakdown. So I was like, what in the world are all of you guys doing? Not just Kochetkov, but our defensemen. Where, like, my gosh, it's just, I haven't seen something like that in quite some time. Probably the most disgusting period, probably rivaling that, Sam, was probably the game that we came back from break, that Toronto game, if you remember.
Yep.
That's pretty bad. So, but then you had Nason scoring. And Sam, I don't really blame Kochetkov on this goal because it was tipped. But again, that's a defensive breakdown. I think you could argue all three of these goals were defensive
Yeah.
breakdowns. And it's 3-0 New Jersey heading into the second period. But Sam, I did notice with it being heading into the second period, New Jersey was up 3-0. I was like, you know what? I remember last year it was against the Islanders. And I believe, wasn't it against, I can't remember if we faced the Islanders was it in the playoffs last year or was it the playoffs before? But we were down 3-0 in that series, Sam, in one
Yeah.
game.
Yep.
Came back.
I felt like that may have been a little bit more of a dramatic comeback than this one was because
Yeah,
of how late in the game it was.
yeah, it was. But boy, in the second period, I felt like during that first intermission, Brendan Moore like read the riot act
No, it
to
wasn't
his
Rod.
players.
It was not Rod. It was
Wait,
not
what?
Rod. You didn't see that news come out?
No, I didn't see any news.
It was Aho.
Really?
Yep.
I didn't see. Oh my gosh, I'm sorry, guys. I did not see. What did
Yep.
Aho say? Tell me.
I had
This is my first reaction.
There was absolutely no specifics, but I believe it was Martinook who said Aho basically read them the riot act.
Good for Aho. Good for him. My gosh. Oh,
I
that
can't
just
remember.
makes me.
I cannot remember the source, but I did see it on X. If I can find it, I'll find it. But
Did the Hurricanes release that, or was it like Walt Ruff, or
no, it was like an interview. Okay. So this was posted by Kane Stat Brand, and Martinook on the sheet. I guess it must be like a podcast. Said Aho was the one in the locker room who had a little snap to get the team going at the first intermission.
Good for him. That I mean, now here's the thing. I didn't think Aho was good in that first period either. But the fact that he came out and said, "We playing out probably sucked, and we need to get our act together because we don't want to go back to Newark." Because I remember Brendan Morse said that during in the post game of, I mean, this team did not want to go back to New Jersey, and in that second period,
Nope.
they definitely didn't. To me, the only player that I thought played good in the first period, Tim, was actually Svechnikov. I thought he was trying to carry this team on his back, and
We had
Svechnikov,
nine.
my gosh.
We had 9 shots in the first. Svechnikov was responsible for 5.
Yeah, he was really trying to put this team on his back, and I'm happy to see him like that. If he can play
Yeah.
like that in the regular season, that's my only thing with him. But man, he has had a dynamic series
Hey,
against
you know
New
what?
Jersey.
I'll take Svechnikov playing whatever in the regular season if he does that every game in the postseason. Because that's when it matters, right? As long as you get to the playoffs, if
It
I can get
does.
that Svechnikov, if I get that Svechnikov in the playoffs, and he's only like good or average in the regular season, I'm not going to complain. What matters is what happens in the playoffs, right? If you asked people about Bobrovsky's contract before Florida won a cup or became super successful, they say it was a bad deal. But until then, that's just how that was.
Yeah, definitely. But in the second period, Sam, you have, and they changed the goal. It was Stankoven's goal at first, Sam, but it was eventually Taylor Hall's goal from Stankoven and Slavin, as Hall made a great, wonderful pass to Stankoven, and he is able to shoot it to the point to where uh, New Jersey's goalie in Markstrom, it kind of fumbled and it hit right at the line, the goal line right there. It didn't go all the way in, but Taylor Hall saw it. He was able to bang it home, and I'm like, okay, there's life. Funny enough, I wasn't in my seats when that goal happened, but I was watching it because I had me a cinnamon bun because I was at the game. But uh, great goal. And then in the I mean, my gosh, this happened probably within 6 minutes of all these three goals. But you have Blake scoring from Jankowski, Sam. Boy, he just inserted himself on that goal. To me, that's a goal Markstrom should have had. And it's interesting because Kochetkov was terrible in the first period. Now you have Markstrom doing terrible in the second period.
Yeah, that was, and goaltending was not the strong suit for that game, except in the third and first and second overtime. Really, Markstrom was really only bad in the second period because he was excellent in the third and both overtimes.
Yeah, oh yeah, he was dialed in. But that Blake goal, man, he should have had. But thankfully, he didn't. And Blake scored his first playoff goal of his career, Sam, for
Yep.
Blake. So I was so happy to see that. And you can tell everybody when they scored for the Hurricanes this game, they were so happy. They're like, let's go. I love seeing that. And then Sam Svechnikov continues on his goal scoring tear in the series. He scores from Orlov and Aho, ties it up. Building's going completely insane. I'm going insane as well, Sam. And that's part of the reason why if you do hear my voice being with it being a little bit hoarse, that's why, because I'm
Yeah.
yelling.
I've been drinking water all day.
Yeah. Sam, how was your voice this morning? Was it bad too from the game last night?
Well, it was okay. This morning was a bit rough.
It was a bit rough. Okay. Yeah. Doesn't surprise me. But Sam, Hishe scores for New Jersey. And to me, that's another defensive breakdown. What'd you think about that goal, Sam?
I mean, it just we're talking about the fourth Devils goal.
Yes.
I honestly thought that was one Kochetkov should have had more than a defensive breakdown.
Well, I think it was both. Uh,
But you also can't give the puck to the Devils in the slot. I mean, it was just a frustrating goal. But at the same time, it's like, okay, Kochetkov, feel free to make a save. That's
yeah, it
really
was.
that's what I said after that goal. It was like, feel free to make a save.
Yeah, I know. And there was one point, Sam, because you and I, we were sitting in the same section but different seats. And I mean, this happens a lot of times in games, but puck was just flying in the air, and Kochetkov makes a save, and I remember shouting over to you saying, like, he made a save!
I
Because
know.
I was so mad at him. I really was.
Yeah.
I was just not happy with him that game.
No, he was not. We won that game in spite of Kochetkov. He had a couple of good saves, and I will give him that. But we wouldn't have even been in overtime if Kochetkov was serviceable, and he wasn't serviceable.
No, he wasn't. But Sam, Carolina has a chance to tie it again because they get a 5-on-3 power play opportunity after a couple penalties made by New Jersey. And Sam, it is Aho scoring on a wonderful, wonderful one timer from, I believe it was Jarvis. No, it was Ghost. And then the assist was Jarvis as well. But man, that got the Canes building rolling again. It's tied, and third period and overtime, nothing happened. But Sam, that first overtime, Canes were freaking dominant.
Yeah, I
It
think
was
the Devils had.
14 shots to 3.
I would say, yeah, the Devils had like no shots that whole overtime. Carolina just pumped the Devils. I mean, and I looked over at Matt because after that period, I was like, "There's no way Carolina could do that again." I was like, "There's just no way they do that again." Because New Jersey, I felt like either they weren't trying or they were just that gassed, or they were just going to play the game of, "Hey, let's tighten ranks, and then we'll look for an opportunity for them to make a mistake." So
Yeah.
it
Well,
could have been a mixture of both, really.
it could have. Well, I thought, Sam, with Carolina getting all these chances, like, I mean, Jarvis hit the goalpost in one instance. And I mean, Markstrom, again, it was really Carolina versus Markstrom because all the other players were just in front of Markstrom were not good for New Jersey. But I did wonder if there was maybe some intention. I don't think there was like intention of them playing bad, but I wonder if there was some intention of New Jersey being like, well, you know what, we won game 3 in double overtime. We could probably do it again.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I thought that was somewhat of the mentality there. And honestly, I think in the second overtime, I thought New Jersey did have somewhat of an edge compared to us at the start.
Yeah, New Jersey
Somewhat.
came in and they played a little bit better, and that was expected. I fully expected them to play a little bit better.
Yeah,
And they
and
did. I mean, they did.
yeah, they did. And Sam, I was actually at that point to where I was just like, I'm being stressed out. And I know you, Sam, you saw me like, because we're up against the wall. I was like, please let this torture end. But eventually, KK, he draws a penalty. And, I heard a lot of Devils fans complain about that penalty, Sam, saying that that was a follow through. It was not
Nope.
at all a
It's not.
follow through
Not even
because he
close.
passed it, and it was Mercer who passed the puck, and then he speared KK in the face, which left him with, to me, it looked like he's going to have a black eye. Just
Oh,
looking
more
at
than that. Yeah,
KK.
his whole eye was swollen shut. So another player who can benefit for some time off.
Yes, definitely. But 4-minute power play. Officials got that right. I was really happy because I was like, Lord help me if it's not a double minor because the guy's bleeding and there's
Yeah.
blood that they're taking off the ice. It has to be a double minor, and it was. And Sam, honestly, most of that power play wasn't really that good, I thought. But you had Aho taking this game into his hands because Ghost finally passes him the puck, slap shots it, and Hurricanes Aho score. Boy, that was so much fun, and it was a huge relief too.
It was a huge relief. They finally won. They got it done. They won the game in overtime. They finished the series. Carolina Hurricanes win it 4-1. They won it in 5, which is what I said that they would win it as. I said it would be 5 games.
I
I was
said
right.
6.
You said 6. I was
I
right
did.
in this. I was right in this case, and you were wrong. Carolina won it in 5. I never had any doubt in that regard. I always believed Carolina would win this in 5. I never thought New Jersey was that good, even if they were fully healthy. I don't think they're better than us.
Well, I was wrong for this prediction of the first round. Hopefully, I'm wrong in the second round prediction. But Sam, that was just a great, amazing goal from Aho. It just honestly, I mean, from the second period onward, I thought Aho was one of the best players because he really did show up big time, and that to me shows I think he can be a top. I wouldn't say he's a top 10 player in the league, but I would say probably a top 15, top 20 player because he can be so good. And we saw that game.
Yeah.
And another thing too, I do want to talk about. There are two more things. One, the handshake line, Sam, and I got a little bit teary eyed in the handshake line because we all know a core player of this team left this past season to go sign with New Jersey, and that's Brett Pesci.
Yep.
And all the players were giving him hugs. I
Yep.
I broke down crying when Brendan Moore gave him a hug. I was like, man, because he was a core player. What were your thoughts on the whole Pesci thing during the handshake?
Yeah, no, it was emotional. It was good to see. He clearly loves the players on this team, and I think if he had his druthers, he would have stayed in Carolina. But he got paid. He got paid to go to New Jersey, and I don't blame a player for getting a better deal when it was on the table. I think Carolina, and I agree with Adam, it was the right choice to let him go. And I think this playoff kind of shows that Pesci was playing hurt the whole series. Um, and it's just a reality that he's just never going to be health 100%. I love Brett Pesci. I love him as a player, as a guy. He seems like a pretty great guy. Would have loved for him to stay, but it's just one of those reality checks that it just wasn't going to work out because Carolina they understood the reality of the situation and that his body just wasn't going to hold up.
Yeah, it wasn't, but I'm telling you, I thought his body held up pretty good against us because I thought throughout this entire series, Sam, New Jersey's best player to me, and yeah, I might be a little bit biased. I'm willing to admit that, but honestly, I think it showed on the ice. I think New Jersey's best player was Brett Pesci. Wouldn't you agree?
Oh, absolutely. He was the best player of the whole series.
Yeah,
Brad
for New
Pesci and
Jersey.
Markstrom carried them that series.
Yes.
The only reason the reason this wasn't a sweep because it wasn't because of those two.
Yes. So, I mean, Pesci, he played a great series against Carolina. And the last thing, and then we'll wrap this up, Sam, because Adam did it on his episode last night, recapping the game. But we're going to do also 3 stars of the series, Sam.
Yeah.
Who are your top 3 stars of the series?
Oh, my third star was Freddie Anderson. I thought he was just excellent. I know he got hurt, but I think you can't discount what he did in this series. And I had already seen that he was an early contender for the Conn Smythe, and I think that's a fair thing because he'd been playing so well. Second star probably. Mm,
It's tough, isn't it? Because I was trying to figure out my 3 stars as well.
Second star. Probably Logan Stankoven. I thought he was really good
Okay.
I thought he was really good the whole series. And then my first star was Svetch.
All right.
I thought Svetch was just freaking awesome in this series. Aho would be my honorable mention. Obviously, he closed the series out, but I think in general, Aho wasn't super noticeable through most of the series, which is the only reason why. Like, I'm not going to reward a single goal that mattered because he had 2, I think, in that game. So I think he had 3 or 4 goals in the series, but
Yeah, he had a total of 3 goals and 5 assists in this series.
so like he was excellent. He was good in the series, but I think sometimes you want a little bit more out of him at certain points. But yeah, I thought Aho was good, and again, honorable mention. If Freddie had gotten hurt in an earlier game, then maybe Aho's higher. But I can't not reward how great Freddie Anderson played in games 1 and 2. It was hard.
Svetch. Amazing.
Yeah, and Svetch was great. Stankoven was also really good. early on and later on. So, and just he was an excellent player throughout the whole series. So, yeah, I know it'll piss people off by not picking Aho, but I mean, just because he won the series last night. But honorable mention, if I was doing 4 stars, Aho would be number 4.
Yeah, so my 3 stars, I have. This is tough. But to me, number 3, I have Sebastian Aho. The reason why I didn't have him probably a little bit higher is because I thought the first 2 games, he wasn't at playing at his peak, but he eventually got to it. I thought he eventually got to it in the 3rd game against New Jersey, and by that time he was doing really, really good. He was being a difference. And then to me, number 2, Sam, is going to be Frederick Anderson. Boy,
Yeah.
I don't think this Canes team would win this series without Anderson, and that's why he is number 2. And to me, number 1, I think another player that if we didn't have or if he was hurt, probably could have cost us the series as well, and that is Andrei Svechnikov with 5 goals this series.
Yeah.
Boy,
On Svech was
ooh,
freaking awesome. Awesome.
oh man,
Awesome. And look, hey, if you know what, if our Russian is better than the Capitals Russian and in the next round, if we're playing
yeah,
Washington, I think we're going to win that series.
yep, it is. Well, Sam, what a great episode to come back on, because the last 2 episodes, it was just me recapping
It was
them.
just you. Yeah.
Yeah,
But I was back. I said I'd be back, and we'll have a preview. Either we'll go live. Ideally, we'll go live like we did the last preview. But it's dependent. A lot of it's going to be dependent on schedule because we just don't know who the Hurricanes are playing and when that series is going to end. It could end as early as tonight, and we could get it out as early as this weekend, or it could end after this weekend, or I think maybe this weekend is as late as it could go. But Game 5 is tonight. Game 6, my guess would be Friday, and Game 7 would be Sunday. So it could end this weekend, in which case we'll figure something out. If it's during the week, though, that Sam and I do a preview, probably won't be live. But if we can get it done on the weekend, well, we might go live.
follow us on social media, or at least keep up with us on social
Yes.
media, because that's where we post all the news of the podcast and stuff. So
Yes.
follow us on X, Twitter, Blue Sky,
All of it.
TikTok. Yeah, all of it. So, yeah, what a great series, Sam. What a remarkable Game 5. That was probably one of the best Game 5s I have witnessed as a Hurricanes fan, Sam. And part of the reason why I just love this team to death till the day I die.
Yeah.
So,
well, that was a fun
definitely.
series, Sam. Carolina wins it. The Carolina Hurricanes will advance to the Stanley Cup Eastern Conference semifinals to face the winner of the Washington Capitals and the Montreal Canadiens. Carolina Hurricanes win 4-1 against the New Jersey Devils.
We will see you guys next time.